The news media is often the first to point out when someone doesn't get irony or satire. So where did common sense go this week when a man, tongue-in-cheek, testified before a medical marijuana dispensary hearing?
Shocked. Shocked. That was the reaction this week when Back Bay resident Oliver Kerm testified before a medical marijuana dispensary hearing.
It'll bring undesirable elements into the neighborhood. And just so you know what I mean, they're Army vets with PTSD, and we don't want them in their neighborhood.
Kerm went on to say other undesirables include people with disabilities, and there was more.
The third one is women with breast cancer. You know, they always have that cadaverous look, and they wear those ridiculous turbans.
Then he got the hook.
There were pro-marijuana people and anti-marijuana people there, and they all agreed on one thing: the outrageously offensive comments one man made.
Despite the fact that Kerm explained it was satire after the meeting, everyone from the Boston Globe to Boston Magazine to Keith Olbermann had a field day with Kerm's setup, including notations that he is a millionaire living in a mansion. Clarification came a day later.
The man who made the comment says he was being sarcastic and mocking his neighbors who oppose the dispensary.
I came up with this dialogue to actually show them that if you're against the marijuana dispensary, you're against people with Parkinson's, you're against Army vets, you're against people with MS, and you're against people with cancer.
Perhaps the only thing missing from Kerm's shtick was a Thurston Howell III accent.
Well, you haven't got the knack of being idly rich. You see, you should do like me, just snooze and dream.
Maybe then they'd get it. Then again, maybe not.
All right, speaking of tinfoil hats, I think I figured this one out. This was all about clickbait. Everybody ran that night, even though they had already heard that, first of all, so obviously it was satire. Those stories moved right to the top of the clickbait, you know, and that's where Keith Olbermann got it from, because he saw it, somebody else had posted it, reposted it, and posted it, and all these outrageous statements, and it just went viral like that. And they didn't care whether he had said it was satire. It made for a good story. People were confused. Come on.
Well, clickbait for whom? I mean, it
People,
seems that
readers.
Well, it seems like he was trying to get clickbait.
No,
for
it worked. It worked for everybody. It worked for him,
what I mean.
and it worked for the newspapers.
And that's what I mean. But I do think it felt like a shock jock kind of thing. I'm going to do something to get attention.
Yeah, but that's why he did it.
Right, but then I thought it crossed the line. I really did, and I think the way.
But did you think it was satire?
The first time I saw it, no.
No, I did.
No, the first time I didn't think it was satire. But I do think, I mean, I see what he was trying to do. And frankly, when was the last time that we all covered a zoning meeting? I mean, I think I was in Chattanooga the last time I went to a zoning meeting.
Well, it's medical marijuana. So.
Right, but it's still a zoning.
Yeah.
I know that's an important issue, but it's not something that typically gets covered wall to wall by local media unless something does happen there. And so the point, obviously, is to draw attention to it. I get it. I get how that works. At the same time, I think even if you're doing satire, boy, there's some things you just can't touch. You're making fun of someone who cancer
that's not the
and so
point,
forth. I know it's not the point, but I just felt I was uncomfortable with the tactic, and I do feel that, yes, I mean, it's a great story. It happened. It did happen, and I think they covered it as such.
Some of the coverage suggested that it was a reach for him to claim it was satire, made it seem like he was after the fact trying to cover himself. I thought it was plain as day. When I watched that video, someone forwarded it to me. I didn't know what it was about. I watched it that night, and I thought it was totally obvious that this was an over-the-top attempt to lampoon the concerns of people who didn't want the medical marijuana dispensary there. However, there are a number of people, not just you, who I think highly of, who have since told me a ton. Well, Larry's different because Larry is opposed to citing the dispensary there, as I understand it. But people who are not engaged in this, who didn't get the joke. One interesting question, which I haven't answered for myself yet, is I'm not sure. I think he played his role too well. He didn't show his absurdity with a funny hat.
They didn't let him
finish.
They didn't let him finish.
They didn't let him finish.
That's why he needed the.
But I'm not sure all this coverage has worked to his benefit. I'm not sure that people are saying, oh, you know, it really is cold-hearted to oppose a medical marijuana dispensary. Instead, they're focused on him, saying that he was a big jerk for doing it the way he did. So I don't think it's worked out the way he hoped it would.
Right. Well, first of all, I want to give a shout-out to Adam Gaffin, who broke this story on his Universal Hub blog, because he was actually at the hearing. Although I have to say, he didn't realize it was satire.
Really?
I don't think I would have realized it was satire. this made me think of something I see posted by people on Facebook all the time, and that is there's a few satirical sites out there that want to be The Onion, and so they'll do these outrageous satires, but they're not funny, so people don't get it. They think it's real, and they post it on Facebook. This struck me as being along those lines.
People should have known who he was, though.
I didn't
Because he's an
know
advocate. Well, people in that neighborhood.
But still, just because you know someone, though, would you know that?
Yeah,
I'd never seen the guy before.
Yeah. Me either. I never heard of him before.
I think his wife was on one of the boards here at
They
GBH.
might have thought he'd smoked too much pot. I don't know.
Well, I did not get that it was satire. I looked at it and I thought, welcome to my world. This is the kind of crap I hear all the time from people just like that. Mr. P with privilege. He feels like because I'm boring and I'm privileged, I can stand here and say this, and you'll know that I'm being satirical. No, we won't. You weren't funny. It wasn't written well. If you have a point to make, then get somebody to write the damn thing. And another thing, at the end of it, even though he got cut off, he needs to immediately say, I got cut off. This is what I was trying to say.
He should have, because he had
So, therefore, after the fact,
well, he cut his mic.
Was not,
he cut his mic, too.
I don't believe that it ever was satire because he did not say it in the moment.
I agree with you.
He was not in the moment.
No opponent of citing the dispensary would speak as callously as he did about the people he talked about.
He's for it.
But now, one interesting point, Kelly, I think you raised this. Kelly, I think you sort of brought this up implicitly. I do wonder if we would have processed his shtick differently before Facebook, Twitter, email, because as we all know, the ability to communicate in a non-face-to-face way has made communication coarser.
Well,
so I wonder how this would have played, say, 20 years ago or 25 years ago.
There was delight in the fact that he was a rich guy, and if this had been some poor guy from the neighborhood, they would have treated him
rich guy,
completely
hand
different.
out your whole thing so that I can see immediately.
Completely different.
No, he had an opportunity in the
going
moment
and taking pictures of the mansion.
Also, in terms of whether it was funny or not, I got to mention we had a couple camera people guffawing during the tape.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's great for them. That's not my world.